Hey guys, Victor Pena here. Today I have my friend JayCei from J&E Eclectics. We're going to go over mindset, how to win in business, how to do DTG or DTF. We're also going to go through a lot of cool stuff with a show that he was on, and we're going to talk about how to grow and scale your business. So stay tuned till the end because we're starting right now.
Let's go.
What's up, brother?
What's going on, man? I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. You know, you've been here a long time ago, and you've done a lot so far, or from the last time we saw you here. So for a refresher, just tell the audience a little bit about yourself. You know, what do you do? Maybe have some context, and we can start there.
Perfect. Yeah, so JayCei, I'm the founder, the owner of J&E Eclectics. We're a specialty print company. Basically, after I got out of the military and finished my education, I got into operations. I did that for a while for some big companies, and when the pandemic hit us, I was stuck at home with my child thinking, what if I can't get back to normal, right? Everyone was saying, hey, there's gonna be a new normal, but what if I couldn't get back to the office? And I started looking at things that I was already interested in that maybe I could do from home for myself to provide for my family. And like decorative apparel, custom apparel is what really popped up. Started doing my research, and then when I found OmniPrint, I reached out, got a good sales rep. I decided to take my little nest egg, and in the pandemic when most people were saving their money, I did what a lot of people thought was crazy, and I dropped about $60,000, $70,000 and just started building out a print shop basically out of my house. So I got the 330TX Plus. I needed a high quality award-winning DTG printer.
Oh, there you go.
I had to focus on quality. I got an embroidery machine. I got a couple of heat presses and a pre-treat machine, and I was ready to go. And I really spent 3-4 months just learning how to use them. And that's how I got where I'm at now.
Man, that's awesome. First of all, thank you for your service. You know, we're crazy about our veterans out here. You know, and there's not a lot that happens, or there's not a lot of hype going to you guys for providing that service, right? And then also coming out and being like, all right, well, how can I build a business and all that? So that's why we're really supportive of the veteran community. We have a lot of veteran customers, and every time we get a chance to have you guys come on, I really want to hype that up. You know?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You know, and getting into that business, what made you decide, all right, this is the way I want to go?
Yeah, so basically I started watching a bunch of YouTube videos, and I was
YouTube University.
YouTube University. I was like, you know, what are some really good side hustles or make money from home? Because I didn't know if I'd get back in the office. And most of the videos that were coming back were custom apparel. So whether it was, you know, vinyl cutting and little things or screen printing, you start a setup, do this, do that. And I thought, okay, I need to look at my business the way I would anybody else's business. So I used to get paid to find inefficiencies for big companies. So I looked at my own business, my startup, the same way and thought, okay, if Johnny used to screen print in 2010, where's Johnny now? You know, where's his business as he's been growing his customer base, time and money? And every time I asked myself that question, it was DTG. DTG's the best you can get, right? That's the quality that's out there. And I started looking into DTG printers, and then same exact lineup. Okay, if I'm gonna get a DTG printer, do I want an entry-level DTG printer? Or do I wanna focus on quality, maybe spend a little bit more money? And then I start looking and you see, oh, okay, multiple award-winning printer. Okay, let's dig into that a little bit. And I did what any smart business owner should do. I got samples. I reached out to other people who had different printers, and a customer that already had a 330TX Plus sent me back a sample of an image that I had sent, and it was better than I was expecting it to be. You know, you never know what you're gonna get really. Nope. And when I got that sample and it really, the hand feel, I knew, okay, I could do this. If that's what they're doing, I'm just a customer to them. I just bought this shirt basically. I could do that. I could come up with designs. I could reach out to customers. I could run a print shop. So I did. I dropped the money and decided custom apparel is where I'll go, and then just kept adding on to be able to scale.
Ooh, I love that. You know, one thing I always want to have some takeaways, you know, when we do this. Why? Because I want to have people here that are winning so that we can empower others to win, right? And there's little things that I notice that winners do. And I always like to highlight that. So for example, one thing, guys, I want you to take note is that you have to do good research. Doesn't matter what you're doing, right? But the proof is in the pudding, right? What do I mean by that? You decide to get samples,
Right.
and you decide to grab it, feel it, send your image to someone. A lot of companies don't provide samples. There's always an excuse, or they don't get back to you, or they never ship it, or whatever.
There's a reason they don't.
Yes. And I always like to say, hey, always look at the data. Look at your cost per print. Look at how it looks. Hold it in your hand, and then make a decision. Calculate your monies, right? Winners do that, guys. Winners do that. Don't just fall for the sales rep of anything that you do, because guess what? That's their job, is to sell stuff.
Right.
My reps, their job is to sell stuff, right? But we do stuff a little bit different. We provide the value first,
Right.
the education, and then bam. You know, there's no way, if all path leads to our equipment, when you do the right research, we're okay with it. You know,
Yeah.
so learning, make sure you guys do your research. One thing that's important is we're gonna make sure that, you know, JayCe's tagged right here. Where can people find you as we go on in this episode, and how can they interact with you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at JayCe_Eclectics, and you can find me on YouTube at J&E Eclectics as well.
I love it. You're used to working at big places,
Yeah.
right? You're used to like big salaries. You're used to like being the man.
Yeah.
So what have you implemented since going on your own, and how did that kind of stuff help you?
I think the first thing I focused on was remaining customer centric, right? And you kind of just hit the nail on the head about adding value back, which is why I did get samples. I treated myself like the end user, what was the entire experience for me, and then took notes. And that's what I would do for big companies, was figure out what does the life cycle of your product look like from start to the customer, and then take out bottlenecks, make that production a little better. And the last time we spoke, I was in a little room, and I talked a little bit about what my production was like. I had everything lined up in a certain order.
Yep.
And now I've moved the shop to an 800 square foot, basically my guest house. And
Yeah.
I've blown that out. The whole thing is a print shop. I've added additional printer. And I think where I'm at right now is just looking at, as a business, what value can I add continually? And then is it worth that cost up front? You know, set goals. Once I hit those goals, then I reward myself. So the last goal that I hit allowed me to buy a UV printer. I needed something that was print stickers for customers, because you start making custom apparel, and then you're making shirts and hoodies, and they're like, what about hats? Okay, let me DTF. I can DTF, now I'm making hats, and I can make patches and some other things. And I do embroidery, and they're like, well, what about stickers? And I was like, well, you know what? Instead of outsourcing every little thing, let me add on. It's worth it to me, because my customers are coming here and buying 10, 20 shirts and hoodies and hats, and they want stickers with their logo as well.
You can actually sell that next service to the
Yes.
same customer base.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And the one thing I did that was uncomfortable for me since the last time we spoke was I started shooting more content. I started creating content and answering questions for my customers. And I actually found that after spending $16,000 on pay-per-click ads with no return, my first YouTube video got maybe 100 views and 25 orders. And I thought, wow.
That's nuts.
All it cost me was a little bit of time, just recording myself doing what I was already going to do anyway,
Yeah.
knock out some orders, answer a few questions, and that's when the light bulb went off. People want to be educated and entertained. And people that are like-minded and want to start their businesses, they need the kind of content that I'm putting out, that you're putting out, the creators' lives, the creators' one-on-ones. People want to be inspired by somebody that they can look at and say, okay, you may not be a multi-millionaire Hollywood star, you're an average Joe who's printing shirts in his garage, or in her bedroom, or whatever that looks like. I can do that. And then they feel the support of a community behind them. And that's the biggest thing I've implemented, besides
That's powerful.
new equipment. Yeah, it's just giving back with some content and education.
Yeah. And take it from me, dude. I had 0 followers.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do any of the content. Well, I had 2, my wife and my mom.
It definitely helps. It's definitely led to some other things for me specifically that we can get into today.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that the best time to start putting out content or YouTube was probably a few years ago. And the second best time is right now.
Yeah,
Like,
yep,
just
exactly.
hit record. Just get started. Don't be camera shy. It really doesn't matter. I will tell people, like, my videos aren't that professional. They're just straight to the customer. Like, you watch the video, you get the content that you were looking for, and nobody's making fun of my extra long beanie.
Yeah.
Or if I have a list because I forgot to take my braces out. They're there
No,
to learn.
yeah,
right?
exactly.
So
It's all good.
Don't even worry about that.
Doesn't have to be perfect. You know, I always like to ask because I'm pretty nuts about our customer experience. So how has it been like working with our printer, and then how has it been working with our team and all that, you know, from your user perspective?
Yeah, so I think initially, for anyone that doesn't know my situation, I paid in full up front. I didn't want a monthly payment. I wanted to be all in. That's why I quit the 6-figure job. I didn't want a safety net. And that was scary because is this company going to support me after they get my money? Or does that communication, does that friendship or relationship end at that point? And not knowing the company on day one, it was a fear. And then very quickly, you know, I had an issue in my training actually, and you guys took care of me right away. And since then, it's been almost 2 years now. I can't think of a single time I've had an issue except for when I got a new laptop and I needed the direct rip software, you know, reinstalled. And I was like, could someone please help me? And it was pretty immediate. I had a head strike, which, you know, hopefully it doesn't happen to anybody. And I didn't miss a beat in production because you guys have everything here. It was within 24, 48 hours I got a new one, and somebody was on the phone, like FaceTiming me, telling me how to put that thing back together. So honestly, for me, I am anal. I'm very specific about my production.
Yeah.
And if anything is going to slow me down or there's not support there, there's no value. I'm going to go somewhere else. But I've never had that issue.
Talk to me about your hustle and your like work ethic. Like, how many hours are you working right now? What can you tell people about that?
Okay.
How many hours do you have to work to be successful?
Look, I would love to say that the business is on autopilot right now, and I've been able to step away and hire 100 people. No.
Nope.
In the last 35 to 45 days, about 80 to 100 hours a week at least. And the hustle is real, the struggle is real. I had somebody ask me just like a week ago, when do you sleep? And I was like, when I stop being creative, when I stop having an idea, I take a couple hour nap and I get right back to work. And the reality is that the hustle doesn't stop. And if I wanted to get to a certain point where I was only doing a certain number of orders, then I would cut back and that would be it. But I'm constantly expanding. Since day one, since the first time we spoke, I was both feet in, all in. And I haven't scaled back. The more money that I'm bringing into the business, I'm immediately doing something else. So I've been doing a ton
you're
of...
reinvesting.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It goes right into either new equipment or an expansion. Content is a huge thing.
Yeah.
So I've been working with other entrepreneurs. I'm working on getting a podcast up and going that's just about inspiring them, talking to other small business owners, a lot of traveling.
I love that. I see your new setups. Super nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's super nice setup. So for you, tell me a little bit about like how being a somebody that with a fat paycheck.
Yeah.
And then how did that go from what did your family think from going to that and then running your own show?
Yeah.
And how has it been to have more freedom now? How was that journey?
I knew I can afford to get out of this, jump both feet into my business, my dream, and give it 110%. And if it doesn't work out, I already know I can survive through that.
Yeah.
So I couldn't let fear bother me at all. I just had to, at least for this one thing, see if it's worth it, and then commit. You know, disagree with my family, but commit to that dream and just go for it. And if they're all right, it doesn't matter. That's fine. But here we are a couple years later, and I'm still pushing and still growing. And you got to be real humbled by that paycheck loss, right?
Big time.
So it's like, okay, now I know I can't do certain things. I've got to focus on, now my new child is my business.
Yeah, it is.
So every dollar I'm bringing in, I'm spending $2. And then you do get to a point where you start making money, and when it happens, you're so much more appreciative because you did it. The fires I put out for those other companies, it was great that I could handle it. I could answer questions, I could fix problems, but they were all for other people. They were all for someone else's agenda. And then you go into business for yourself. It is freedom, but you also have the freedom to then sleep all day and do nothing.
Yeah. Yep.
So you've got to have the mentality of, again, accountability. It's all on me, but I'm going to either make or break myself. And then having a child, for example, there's no option for failure there. It's just,
No way.
I'm going to figure it out. So
talk to me about obstacles. When you start, what kind of obstacles, a couple that you went through at the beginning, and then how'd you push through?
Sure. Yeah, I hit the wall, the proverbial wall, a few times early on. One of the biggest things was the barrier to entry for me was education. Like, I didn't know much about the industry. So I spent a few months learning the equipment, learning some software, some design skills, that kind of thing. And then it became, how do I get customers? That was the first barrier. I've got this equipment, I've got this shop, and I've got this attitude like I'm not going to fail. I'm going to make $1 million in a month kind of attitude, right? And I'm like, no orders. How come no one knows
like, where's the jet? Where's the Lambo?
Exactly. I saw that guy on YouTube. He had all those cars. What's going on? And, really quickly I realized, all right, so I've got to figure out first, who am I servicing? What problem is there that I'm fixing, or what is the need? Find my customer base and then reach out to those people. So to overcome the first obstacle, I looked up 3, 4, 5 businesses local in my town, in my area, and I went out and printed their logos on shirts and hoodies and some joggers and that kind of thing. And then I wore them in, and I gave a business card. And I was like, hey, I'm JayCei Miller. I'm the CEO and the founder of J&E Eclectics, and I made this. And they would look at me, and I was like, so if you guys ever need to put in purchase orders for apparel or employee outfits, whatever it is, I can do it. I've got a direct-to-garment printer, and I had to explain what that was to everyone, because most people, they want a cheap $3 shirt that's been screen printed with one color. So I go through the process, I let them see it, and then I have a second set for them. And I did that for 4 or 5 companies, and what I found was some of them had just finished purchasing, or they had a corporate office that wasn't ready, but every manager I gave that business card to reached back out to me and was like, hey, I'd like to get a custom shirt for my team. We've got this event coming up. I want a custom shirt for me. And I was like, okay, great. And then eventually I would find a company that said, this is great. I've been going through these third-party print-on-demand companies, and the customer service is bad. And when I finally get the order, it's such bad quality. And I was like, well, I'll tell you what, give me your files. I will show you what I can do, and I'll bring it back in an hour. And they're like, what? I was like, oh, yeah, I'll be right back. And they'd give me their files. I go home, I print a shirt, print a hoodie, bring it back. They could see it, sold, deal done. And so I realized, okay, drop $25,000 on a 330TX Plus. Customers aren't just going to come piling in. I've got to do the work. Go through, figure out who they are, and what am I going to do to get them. So,
like, how can somebody spread their product mix and be more successful? What's worked for you?
For me, it's been doing all of it. And I think depending on the time of year, they come in waves. So there were a solid 3 months where nobody wanted to order a shirt that was pre-made or have a shirt printed, but they all wanted DTF. So for a good, at least 3 months, 90 days or so, just tons of DTF printing, which was fine.
Yep.
And then immediately it went back to t-shirts. And then of course, winter time frame, hoodies, get me hoodies. Everyone wanted printed hoodies. And I think one key to my success has been, well, one, the printer I got does DTG and DTF. So I could at least service both of those. But I also did embroidery, and I keep adding on. And I think my willingness, or unwillingness rather, to say no has led me to be able to provide more value.
Yeah, I love it.
It hasn't always been cost efficient to me. Like, you got to spend the money up front.
Dude, there's some
hurts.
stuff that we say yes to that, pretty much it would have been easier to just hand somebody some cash, right?
Yes. I said yes to an order for a new launch building for another company, and they needed 500 shirts, 500 hats. They needed a specific cost. I said yes. I lost my teeth, like I lost the farm, And I was a little upset at first. It was a lot of work, but what that did was network.
Oh, yeah.
So that purchasing manager was then like, oh, these shirts are such amazing quality. It's better than we've ever ordered. I'm launching 2 more buildings. I'm launching a building in Turlock, and I'm launching another building in Rialto. Can we go through you? Yeah, you can.
But now you're gonna pay.
Now you're gonna pay. Exactly. So don't go bankrupt, right?
Yeah.
Don't sell the whole farm, for pennies on the dollar. But give them a taste, and as long as you're providing quality and value to them, they come back.
Yeah, now you have that customer. You know, you're going to lose money on some deals.
Right.
It's part of growth, so don't be scared about that. I've lost plenty of that. What are 1, 2, 3 things that I could help you with that you know, you're saying, hey, you know what, I'm stuck on this, or what do you think about that?
So I talked earlier about don't be afraid to jump in.
Yep.
And now I'm at a point where it's like, how big do I want to go?
Yeah.
And it's like, do I want to be complacent with the money that's coming in, or do I want to just keep going? Or if some people out there are stagnated and maybe they're not getting new business, that's another problem I worry about. Like, what if I get to that point? Am I at the point where I need that i2 because it prints faster, I can do a little more production, which I'm all about, and then do I add that work software into it to really streamline the business? And then for me, because I'm doing everything myself, that looks daunting.
Yeah, big time. So I got a 2-part answer to that, right? I think number one, it's really important for you to sit down and be like, all right, well, what are my targets? What are my goals? 3, 5, 10 years, personal, professional, financial, right? Do that, because I could tell you that we spent about a year doing a 10-year plan. It's a mission, all right? I'm always on a daily looking at my targets and my goals that I set, and they're big. So it's going to help guide you to where you need to be, right? Set those targets. And then you have to work them backwards.
Yeah.
You can be complacent and be like, hey, you know what? I'm doing pretty good. My bills are paid, blah, blah, blah. But if that's not who you see in the future, that's not your goal. Those aren't your goals. You want to do more, give back more, your family, all that stuff, people that you bring in. Then remember, nobody does shit alone.
Right. Yeah.
So that'll help you decide. And then you'll be like, okay, well, now how much promote do I need to do to bring in the numbers to hire, to do all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's number one. You got to really get super clear with those targets, and that's going to help you.
I think I look at it the same way, and I think, okay, if I get more production, I take in more orders, which, yes, is more revenue, but I look at it more of it just gives me more control. So the more I am making, the more I can then decide how I'm going to pivot or what I'm going to focus on the most.
Yeah, what are you going to do with it?
And the goal is to hire a team, right?
Yeah.
The goal is for JayCei to step back and not work in the business, but let the business work for me.
Yeah.
And then have a team that I can train, whether they just watch the videos I'm putting out or, put them actually through the process of how to do this. And then I can kind of step back and focus maybe more on content and how I'm adding back to other people, maybe travel and do more hands-on type stuff. I always love teaching and educating.
Yeah.
So probably that's what I'm seeing in the future. As you say it out loud, it kind of points the arrow, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So set that up, and you also want to be like, this is how much money I want to make. What's my vision, right? So I'll give you an example, right? We want to be $1 billion organization alongside 3,000 team members helping 1 million creators.
Woo.
If you do the math, it adds up.
Yeah.
So guess what? We got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And those are the targets, right? And then we bring them back, right? And then you go to the question of like, all right, should I get the i2 or should I I want to print faster, bigger, whatever. If I were you, I would take advantage of like the free software, and I would optimize the way I'm receiving orders, spend like a month doing that, and then bam, turn it on.
Okay.
Because you could still do the volume with the free jet.
Yeah.
And let's say you even said, hey, you know what, I'm going to upgrade. By the time that happens, your flow of orders is solved. So tell me a little bit about like, how'd you tell me about the show, tell the audience about the show. How'd you get on? What is it?
Yeah.
Because dude, it's stuff that people dream about doing. And then I'm like, when you were telling me, I'm like, what? How?
Yeah, it's funny, like the J&E Eclectics, everybody wonders what eclectic is, and I'm like, well, I like the word because I have an eclectic background. I've done so many different things, and now being on a TV show is one of them. So basically, it was an ad that popped up and was like, "Are you competitive? Are you a small business owner?" And I said, "Hell yeah!" And I clicked through, and I had no idea what it was. Sent in a little information, and then they start kind of the casting process. And I did just a quick 2-3 minute video answering some of their questions, and it was really about my business. And then next thing I know, I'm getting a call from one of the producers on the show, and it's like a 45-minute, hour-long phone call, and they're telling me about it. And I'm like, oh, this is a real thing. Like, this could possibly happen. And then sure enough, I get cast on the show. So it's sort of like a Big Brother meets Shark Tank. They took 5,000 business applicants, entrepreneurs, small businesses all applied, and they chose 20 of us per season. So they whittled it down. So out of 5,000, I made it on.
Holy cow!
And they flew us out. They made us live together in these mansions.
Oh, poor you.
Yeah, poor
that
us
was rough.
in these mansions. So you feel like, yeah, you're going to live in these mansions, but really we got there and they're like, surprise, competition element. Not only are you living with all these strangers you've never met every single day, but you're being filmed 24/7 and you're going to compete against each other every day. So I was like, yeah, let's go, roll up my sleeves. Like, I thrive under pressure. So I was really, really excited. And the show is called The Blocks, BLOX. And they just launched season 1. I was actually season 2, but we filmed them all back to back while we were there. And just an amazing value-added experience for me, where it kind of tells you where you're at in your business, where you could be, but then it's laser focused with a group of like-minded individuals. Everyone there, it was an entrepreneur or a small business owner. And it's like, where are you going to walk into a community like that?
No.
It was
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was an interesting.
And where's the show gonna come out? Where people see it?
So right now the show is out on the Blocks app, BLOX. You can get it for free on the Apple Store or Google Play, and you can binge the entire first season. The show, they released it on YouTube and their Facebook channel as well. They wanted the first seasons to be free, while I believe they're selling it to like Netflix, or they're hoping somebody else picks up the show, and it got canceled off YouTube almost immediately for spam because it got so many views so quick. So right now you could binge watch all of it on the app, all of season 1. Season 2 should be out in the spring. That's my season. And then on Facebook, I believe on the Beta Blocks page, they're releasing 1 or 2 episodes a week so that they don't get flagged for spam because
nice.
It's getting lots of views. So
awesome. We'll link the show. Make sure you give us that
absolutely
link, because I already think that being in these kind of shows, not only will expand your mindset, but give you some audience.
Yeah, definitely.
Some eyeballs.
That was a big fear. Oh, wait, this is going to be on TV and it's a competition. So now I have the opportunity to look dumb in front of a bunch of people. And honestly, it made it that much more exciting. I was like, okay, well, I believe in what I'm doing, so let me just go out there and show why. And it really helped with my own confidence in where I was at. And I mean, some of the stuff, you guys see my season come out, you check it out, because if you're following what I'm doing and what I'm working on, like our partnership, our relationship, a lot of that is going to come out in how I compete on the show. And I think that one thing that you've always talked about is adding value back and building a community. And I believe I lived that value there. I worried less about me competing and winning the show, and more about how can I help all these other businesses that are here. And it was interesting being someone doing custom apparel. I actually made a comment to them all. I was like, you rent out yachts, you do X, Y, and Z. And I was like, but I can help all of you.
Yep.
I was like, all of you.
You guys are all my customers.
Exactly.
Yep.
So that was pretty cool for me.
I love that, man. That's awesome. Anytime you guys get a chance to be on anything where you can promote, dude, always say yes, because you never know, dude. Exactly. It's gonna be scary. That's super cool. Well, man, I could talk to you for hours. We got to do another backup show for this one. So, guys, make sure you're hitting these links, subscribe, hit the bell. We have people on here like JayCei that are winners, and they're showing you exactly how they're doing it for free. So all you can do is like, comment, and remember, if you have questions, hit it in the comments. If you want us to expound on something, hit it in the comments, because that's what we're here to do, give you guys some value. Man, amazing show. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And there you have it, another session of Creators One-on-One. Stay tuned for the next video.